Welcome to the last segment of my 5-part interview series with Thomas Allen Harris, host of the PBS television series called Family Pictures USA. I'm Linda Satcast with FamilyHistoryHero.com, and today we're going to wrap things up with some great advice on organizing, and Thomas is going to tell us how we can possibly be featured on one of the Family Pictures USA episodes. So tell me, Thomas, what is next for Family Pictures USA?
Oh, wow. We are trying to figure out how to navigate this new COVID-19 landscape, where we can't bring hundreds of people together, as part of our production. So we're in the process of reviewing our production process and thinking about how we move forward, what the different avenues are, depending on, whether there's going to be a vaccine or not. And then the other aspect is deciding which cities we're going to next, or which locations, because it's not simply cities. We also go to rural areas. And so we're looking at the next 8 to 10 locations. So we're inviting people to share stories from their locations with us. And you could actually join our Facebook group at Family Pictures USA on Facebook and share a photo and a story. And, it depends where we get invited to go, both in terms of the funders that are coming on board the project, and they say, they might be local funders that might want us in Anchorage, Alaska. And so, we put together, both funding and also our partners, various cultural institutions or educational institutions. And from there, we select a town and we include that town in the season 2. So we're planning season 2 right now on our Instagram and group.
And where can people reach you on Instagram? Where can people reach you?
Well, you could follow us on Instagram at Family Pictures USA.
Okay.
And then I also have my own personal Instagram, Thomas Allen Harris, on Instagram as well. Yes.
And then your website is
our website is
USA.com, right?
Yes, www.familypicturesusa.com. And you could see a lot of stories in our blogs. And if you want to actually write a story, do a first draft of a story that might become a film, you could submit it to us and put it up. We actually had someone do that. And it feels almost like a miracle. She wrote this story about her family. Someone actually found her and had bought in a kind of a flea market archives that her family had lost in Georgia, and saw the name and connected the name and reached out to us, and we were able to connect them, and she was connected to these letters and photographs that her family had lost like years ago.
Wow.
I mean, and that was through our website. So, through the comments. So, that there's some great things to be said for, writing a blog and putting it out there.
Yeah, that is so great. I know there are some genealogists who are really giving. They'll find some old photographs, and if there's any kind of identification or anything that they can figure out, they'll take it and they'll do research on it, and they'll find the people and give it back to them. Mm-hmm. And I think that is so great. I know you mentioned a story of how some people that come to some of your events will say, I wish I had talked to you like 2 days ago or 2 weeks ago, because,
I could tell that story, actually.
Yeah. Why don't you tell that? Because I keep telling people this is what's going to happen if you don't, so tell us that story.
Yeah. There was a young teacher. He was a father of 2 small children in a small New York City apartment. And we went to Brooklyn College to do one of our Family Pictures USA events. And he had inherited 2 boxes of family photographs from his great aunt. And he didn't know who they were. They were, obviously connected to him because, they were, her parents and grandparents and family members. And so he didn't know they had any value, and he threw them in the trash. you
Mhm.
know, and they could have included daguerreotypes or tintypes, you know, which have not only socio-historic value, but monetary value, and not to mention the value of the family story in them to pass down to your kids, you know. And
Mhm.
so he just, I mean, he was devastated. So I think it's so important, you
Mhm.
know, to talk to your family about these family photographs, to tell the story so that, you know, people understand, you know, that this stuff has value and, you know, potential for you know, illumination of the family story, you know, from generation to generation, as you said at the,
Mhm.
you know, the head of the show.
Yeah, and I think some of the issue is just simply that they are in these boxes and they're stashed away, and they're not organized, they're not scanned, they're not the stories haven't been connected with a lot of the photos, and so it is a bit overwhelming. And I really can't blame somebody who's what do I do with this.
Hmm.
It's a travesty. It's sad.
Hmm.
But like I said, I wish that we would become a culture more where we appreciate those stories, pass them down, start young, when
Hmm.
our kids are young,
Hmm.
talking about the importance, asking this about the stories, and not only asking but writing it down or
Hmm.
videoing like you did with your dad.
Hmm.
You were telling
Hmm.
me how you got stories about your grandparents and great grandparents from him.
Hmm.
He knew all of this stuff that you would never know now unless you had sat down and done that video with him. So yes, I'd love to see that become more a part of our culture. And maybe you're the one who's going to help it happen. I think
But
that's great.
and with your help as well, because it's so important to have things organized, you know, to be able to, like, you know, because once you organize it, implicit in the organization is the storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
This family belongs to these photographs belong to this family, you know, these photographs belong to that family. Here's a name on it, you know, and implicit in that, even if you don't have a kind of a written narrative, you have an organizational structure, which is storytelling. And it's also equally important when it migrates from analog to digital. So, like, when you digitize all this stuff, I mean, a lot of us, you know, have stuff on our cell phones that are not organized, and yeah, and then we digitize additional material. It's somewhere on on our hard drives. It's there somewhere, and
Oh
so
my
it's
God.
yeah, so it's important to try to have a structure and to take the same structure that, you know, you offer in your videos and try to apply that when you're digitizing things, you know, because that's also the beginning of the storytelling, you know. And you know, when you take something into an editing software system, you know, it's really important to have it organized. Otherwise, you're spending half your time
Oh, yeah.
searching for stuff, as opposed to, well, it's you know, all the pictures of dad are here, all the pictures of mama here, all the pictures of little Sonny are here, you know, and I could grab them, put them in the timeline and edit, you know. So organization is really key. You know, that's why in schools, you know, even before you write papers, we were taught to do an outline. And that's very similar to,
Mhm.
you know, this whole
Mhm.
process of being organized with your
Absolutely.
archives.
Yes, yes. I couldn't agree with you more. And we do have software that it makes it pretty easy, and it's even free.
Hmm.
What I use is Adobe Bridge. You can put a set of photos in there, select them all, give them all a keyword that goes onto every single photo that identifies them for, let's say, this family name. And then you can add keywords just right there. Um, it's not that hard to learn. It's free now. It used to be a paid software, but it isn't anymore. So we have things at our disposal that we can use. But like you say, we take so many pictures, and to take that little extra bit of time to maybe weed out the best pictures and get those best pictures, weed out the rest, I should say, the bad pictures, keep the
Hmm.
good ones, and then put some kind of keyword on them so that we can search for them later. So anyway, I'm preaching to the choir here.
It's always good to be reminded, because you can easily forget and fall into disorganization.
Oh yes, it is a constant battle, because we just keep taking more and more pictures. But I
Mhm.
have to echo what you said about organizing first. When I was overwhelmed by all those boxes of photos that I had, I decided, well, at least I can scan them. And so I scanned without organizing them first. And that was worse. I almost want to just go back and rescan everything now, that it's organized,
Mhm.
but I haven't quite done that yet. I'm still working on getting those scans into order. So I always say to people, organize first, then scan, and you've got everything neatly. You can do the same thing for your boxes as you do online. That's what I do. I keep them the same so that I know what works together.
Mhm.
So anyway, you have been inspiring today. Thank you so much for coming and talking to us about your this great program that you're doing, and also just what it does for people and how it can bring us together. I so appreciate that, and I'm looking forward to what you bring out next. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you for watching Family Pictures USA, and hopefully we'll come to your area soon and bring our
In
next
Oregon.
episode and next season of Family Pictures USA to Oregon.
All right. You haven't been to this place yet, have you?
Well, I visited, but we've not done a Family Pictures USA episode there yet.
Okay. All right. So we'll be waiting for you.
Wonderful.
All right. Thanks so much. And we'll talk again.
Thank you, Linda.
Wow, I just wanted to finish up by saying what a privilege it was to interview Thomas Allen Harris so he could share his valuable insight and wonderful stories with you. If you haven't watched the Family Picture USA episodes yet, go to familypicturesusa.com to find out how you can access them. This is Linda Satgas with FamilyHistoryHero.com, where we show you how to turn those dusty old boxes of photos into easy to share family stories.